Hello and welcome to the Chiropractic Toolkit's video training module. In this video we're going to go over how to document the routine office visit, which of course is the most frequently used section of the macros. In the next visit I'll show you how to document the progress or re-examinations, how to update the treatment plan, and how to properly end an active treatment plan with clinical summary, and how to discharge the patient to maintenance or wellness care. Once again, you'll see how these macros are laid out to be very systematic and structured, so that your learning curve is pretty fast. These macros are all about having documentation that's very compliant and audit proof while still being very efficient. Unfortunately, as you know, we live in a healthcare era where insurance audits are rampant, and the best defense against them is having rock solid notes. Each and every office visit needs to be able to stand on its own so that any auditor can pick out any particular day's note and know everything they need to know to justify medical necessity. Each aspect of the routine office visit in these macros is laid out to create a note that can stand all by itself. So let's get into the macros and how to properly document the routine office visit. I'll show you how to document the routine office visit in regards to chiropractic adjustments, therapy modalities, and physical therapy if you use them. If not, no big deal. These macros are completely customizable to fit your particular practice style. So let's dive into the routine office documentation. Now, with ChiroTouch, if you use the sign-in kiosks, it has the option for the patient to input the subjective portion automatically. I'll show you both ways, whether the patient does the kiosk or whether they don't. So, to enter the chart note section, you can either double-click the space here or click on the chart note button up top. So, coming into the macros, as you learned in a previous video on the setup of the macros, the common theme with these macros, of course, is the top left-hand corner of each home screen would be the routine office visit section. So wherever you see the ROV means routine office visit, so you're always going to go in this upper left-hand corner. The upper right-hand corner, as you learned, is major events like consultations, new patients, re-exams, x-rays, things like that. And then the bottom right-hand corner we'll cover in a later video of how to document maintenance care, and that's on the bottom right. So we're going to focus on this upper left-hand corner, and like I said earlier, the patient has the ability to input the subjective portion at the sign-in kiosk automatically. So let's say the patient comes back to you and you have this on your screen to look at. And what I do is I look at what they commented on, which in this case is lower back pain. So the way these macros are is if we want to, if it already has this, the only thing that the kiosk is lacking with ChiroTouch is it doesn't really comment on progress since last visit. And that's an important key with documenting medical necessities. You need to be able to document the progress that your patient is having, whether it's improved, or they're worse, or they're staying the same. Regardless of what change they have, we have to document that. So that's what this particular row of buttons is for, is to kind of add to what the kiosk inputs. So it says that John has lower back pain. He rates it at a 7. It increases with movement and it decreases with rest. But again, it doesn't comment on progress. So if you see this, what I like to do is either I click this button and either I comment on progress of lower back pain, or I think it's better to look at your complaints and comment on maybe another section. So in this case, John has lower back pain, lower back condition, but he also has neck condition. So to comment on both sides, they took care of it here. We can take care of it here by checking progress of neck, let's say, and change since the last visit. Let's say he's slightly improved and he's making as expected progress. So with this subjective note, now we have lower back and neck covered as far as subjective goes. So that should be sufficient for what you need. If you want to add certain things, we'll get into these buttons in a later video of exacerbations and certain things like that. So let's say this is empty, which is a lot of offices. They don't have the sign-in kiosk. So if you see a subjective that's empty, These two buttons are going to run you through the focused daily subjective focused routine office visit and the expanded. One just is a little more thorough. So most of the time we'll click on this, and let's say lower back pain is where lower back is where the symptoms are. He rates it as 7, and it's slightly improved since the last visit. He's making steady progress, and there you have it. So we just covered all of the progress there. It will also want to comment on maybe the other sections, or you can use this and just cover both areas, lower back and neck. So there's your subjective. Diving into objective, this is probably the most thorough of the routine office visits, because of course it's going to get into treatment. So up in this section here, we're going to click on, let's see, daily objectives. So the objective changes since last visit, we can say not changed. The intensity, say moderate, and where the subluxations are, say L5, T8, and C7. Overall, has the objective findings changed? Let's say they've slightly improved overall. These macros always run you through on the daily routine office is extremities too. It's just to alert you to look at them. So I think a lot of docs, they adjust extremities. They pay good attention to them clinically, but maybe we're not so good at documenting and actually billing for it. So this is going to alert you to always remind you on a daily visit to check extremities. And if you do, document it and bill for it. You need to get paid for what you do. So let's say we did check, found objective findings in the let's say the left knee. Okay, so this would be the daily objective in the focused version. The expanded will take you just through a little bit longer criteria, and it's maybe good to change it up now and then so it's not so redundant every time. So there you have it for the objective portion. Part of the objective, I like to incorporate the treatment into that section. So this is where it gets a little more thorough. So we're going to click on this button next. Always do the intro button, so the treatment intro. And it starts you with, I have these macros laid out to run in sequence of chiropractic adjustments first, followed by modalities if you do therapies in your office. And then if you do active rehab, it runs you through a whole rehab protocol. And I'll get into detail in just a couple minutes when we get to the rehab button. So let's say we do adjustments. I divided these up to Medicare and non-Medicare. Okay, now as you know, with the Medicare codes, they need the AT modifier if it's going to be a build code, which these particular macro buttons are treatment plan, which are active codes. So let's say they are non-Medicare. Now, the way you want to set these macros up are these top row buttons are going to, you want to assign those procedure codes to automatically input into the procedure codes section. So you will, again, to show you how to do that, you're going to click on Setup, click on this button, and click on Charges, and you want to assign the 98940 for this button, 98941, 98942. Okay, so you know how to do that. I'm going to close the Setup button. So we did the treatment intro. Now we're going to click on what we did here on this intro. So let's say we did 3 to 4 region. And where did we do the lumbar adjustment? We did L5, and my listings are here. So we did PRSM on the side bench, and then it will run you right into thoracic. Let's say we did T8 at PL-T. And then the last one we adjusted was cervical. And there is our 3 regions for adjusting. So very, very precise documentation on 3 to 4 region. Now we're going to get into modalities, so you can document 5 regions. These buttons here, the L5 and S1, let's say you adjust both the L5 and S1 to cover 2 regions, you would click that button. So I made it pretty thorough. Let's say we did an extremity. We're going to dive into here, and we did left knee. So we just click on that button, and it inputs the extra spinal adjustment left knee. So we're going to go back to where we were. Now we're going to get into modalities. Therapies, again, once again, you'll always click that intro button, so we'll click intro. You can change these, of course, to your staff, but I like to document who helps us with the therapy, which chiropractic assistant you have that helps you in the modalities. Then we're going to click on EMS, IST, ultrasound, ice pack, whatever you do. Let's say we did EMS in the lower back sacral area, and there's the dialogue for that. We did it for 10 minutes. Tells you the type of therapy we did. So again, it gets into what we did, why we did it, what's the goals of doing it. All that is to meet medical necessity just with one click of the button. Let's say we also did an intersegmental traction on lower back and middle back. That puts that in there. You can read that in the other modalities. So then we're going to get into rehab. Click on that. Now the rehab is laid out for if you maybe have been through the breakthrough coaching or integrity management or CATS management, any of those practice management firms which I've been familiar with for the last 20 years, they all have a pretty good program of introducing rehab therapies into your practice. So if you do that, we have a very structured, this actually follows the breakthrough coaching physical therapy protocol very, very closely. So it's broken up into the visits, and if you aren't familiar with the treatment plan protocols that we developed, you want to go to ChiroToolkit.com and check out the treatment plan worksheets, and it will run you through the visit protocols on exactly how to document. But let me give you an overview of how the rehab works. So if we click on the lumbar procedures, we incorporated all these rehab therapies into the protocol. So the movement pattern analysis exam, I won't get into detail too much with that, but we have an initial in progress. This essentially is going to be your therapy examination to justify medical necessity for doing rehab. So in this particular patient, let's say they have lower cross syndrome on the left side primarily. So we just click that one button. Maybe they're in moderate pain, and this documents what that typical exam. If you just want to do a generic one, it will run you through all the testing of how to actually document that. But we took all the guesswork out of it to make it very easy with the most common problems, whether it's upper cross syndrome, lower cross, or maybe they have upper and lower cross syndrome. So you can play around with that. If you have questions on that, just send us an email, and we'll get back to you on that. So that's the examination. We have ADL Instruction, Activities of Daily Living. Again, whenever you click this button, you want to assign your procedure code, so it inputs automatically that you documented ADLs with the patient. Again, whenever you see the intro button with an arrow, you always click on that first. So when I click on that, you're going to see therapeutic exercises, direct one-on-one rehab exercises were instructed and performed with John today to increase active range of motion in the area of involvement and to strengthen and or stretch specific muscles and enhance proprioception and coordination. So again, that sets the foundation of why we're doing it, which is what they want to know. They want to know why they needed it, and then do the procedures, bill for it, get paid for it, and then document the progress and how much you've helped them. So that's what these macros are going to assure you accomplish and all that and all those steps. So we did this. Let's say we want to do range of motion. Range of motion difficulty, they had moderate range of motion in extension and lateral flexions. How much pain or discomfort? They had moderate pain. And how long did we do it? We do need to document time. We put in here the average time it takes for each particular modality. So let's say it took them a little bit longer than average. So again, more specifics on this, just send me an email, or just click around the buttons and learn them. They're very standard, whether it's range of motion, isometrics, and then stretching. If you use tubings, tubes, I should say, or if you use machines, it gets into the protocol for that. So just play around with these, but I just showed you the format of how to document, and you'll always finish up with total time. So total time changed since last visit. They slightly improved since last visit. So they did a total of 12 minutes, and it was done by myself. So that is the documentation of the routine office visit. I'll expand that big for you. So this would be, again, pretty thorough as far as the objective findings, the treatment, getting chiropractic adjustments, if we did an extra spinal adjustment, therapeutic modalities, physical therapy evaluation, and then the actual therapeutic exercises. So we might not get into all that on a typical routine office visit, but I'm just showing you the functionality that we have in these macros to accomplish all the tasks and tools you want to accomplish with whether it's passive or active rehab. So let's get into assessment. The assessment routine, again, up here is the daily assessment routine office visit. We're going to click on that button. Are they in the acute phase, subacute, corrective, or exacerbation? Let's say they're still in the acute phase. And change since last visit, we can say not changed. Change overall, maybe slightly improved overall. And how they felt after treatment. That's, again, another part of medical necessity. We need to document how they did. So let's say they were slightly more sore after the adjustment. Doesn't happen too often, but again, you have that ability to document however they were. If you click the wrong button, maybe you want to change it to slight relief and increased range of motion. So with that, there's your daily assessment. So we get into the treatment effectiveness. They're in the acute phase. Again, each and every note has to be able to stand by itself. So if an auditor pulled this particular day's note, they're going to be able to read all of your notes for that particular day and understand the whole treatment process and where you're at in the protocol. And again, diagnosis, it pulls the diagnosis automatically, and treatment plan assessment. And once you've clicked on your phase of treatment, whichever phase they're in this example, we clicked on acute phase. If they are Medicare, you want to click on the Medicare PQRS menu macro button. They all take you to the same phase. So Medicare patients, you're going to click on this, and you are going to click select one of the PQRS codes from this row and one from this row. In the routine office visits, we highlighted, of course, with the ROV buttons. So when we click on this and this, that takes care of your Medicare documentation. So it puts in the G codes, which are those penny codes, and it's automatically going to put it into the procedure codes as long as you have it set up. So when you do your setup of the macros, just to refresh you, we made it simple for you. Again, every one of these macros, when they're meant to import either diagnosis codes or procedure codes, we make that very simple for you to be able to do. Again, ChiroTouch does not allow us to do those linkage or those code linking automatically when we export the macros, but we did make it easy for you when it comes to all the diagnoses you've seen. We put the ICD-10 code along with it with these particular codes. When you click on Setup, click on this button, we added the code right there for you to put in. So G8730, you're going to click on the charges, and right here it is. You're going to find it in your particular list. If it's not there, you need to add it in your maintenance section of ChiroTouch. But there's a G8730, so that when you click on that particular button, it's going to automatically put that in. So when I click on Save, you're going to see it come over here. So here are all the codes we did with the adjustment, the extra spinal. We did the EMS, we did the mechanical traction. Here are your Medicare codes. And then the final is the plan. So again, routine office visits always is in this upper left-hand corner. You're going to click on that particular box. Visit number. Again, part of having all the details in one particular note. The easiest way to find that is if you use our treatment plan worksheets. It runs you through visit by visit, or look here. If they've completed 6 visits already, then they're on the 7th visit. So in this particular instance, let's say John's on his 7th visit. And is he compliant with home care? I ask him that, and he says yes, he's been icing and staying out of recliners. I clicked yes to that. Next visit is in, let's say, 2 days, and they're at 3 times a week. So here's the assessment. Now if he wasn't compliant, or I need to change home care activities, I can change these as we need. But I put the presets just to make it a little more efficient. So there is a daily routine office visit. In reality, I document these real time with the patient. Currently, I see on average maybe 50 patients a day, and I will document the routine office visit while I'm with the patient. It doesn't take me any more than than maybe 1 minute at most, sometimes 30 seconds. If they're really complicated, if they get into maybe some exacerbations, if there's special circumstances, then it might take me maybe 1.5 minutes. But overall, you'll be able to document real time. So when I'm done with my patients at the end of the day, I'm usually all done with all the routine office visits. Maybe I need to go back and clean up some new patient first visit notes. And I showed you that on a previous video, which if you need to refresh that, just watch an earlier video that we did on that. So there is the basics of the routine office visit. Again, if you go to ChiroToolkit.com, under the ChiroTouch macro section, make sure you look at the sample notes to see what a daily objective or the daily routine office visit looks like. And that's it. Again, if you have any questions or comments, if you need help maybe changing the rehab, or specifically if you need help getting a different chiropractic adjustment section created for you, let me know and I'll be glad to help you with that. Right now, as you saw, it's kind of set up more towards a Gonstead hands-on approach, but if you need assistance setting up, whether maybe it's activator or SOT or whatever your favorite technique is, let me know and we can help you along that way, and then get you an updated macro set. Once you've purchased the original macro set, you'll get free updates whenever you like. So that's it. That's how to document the routine office visit. Make sure you watch the next video on how to document the progress or re-examinations, and then again learn how to update the treatment plan, how to properly end an active treatment plan, and how to do the clinical summary and how to discharge a patient to maintenance or wellness care. Thank you for watching this video.